Welcome to the Quest Forums channel. The question for today is another one that comes through the YouTube comment section, which is always good to see. And someone wanted to know about Christian music and about Christians listening to secular music. And I go over all of that in the article that goes with this video. You can find the link to that in the description below. Here I wanted to talk about the second half. I wanted to talk about whether it is sinful for Christians to listen to secular music. And I'll say right off the bat that I can't give a yes or a no answer. And so I might actually be complicating things rather than simplifying or explaining them, but I will do my best here. I'll also note the fact that there are people who will disagree with me on this kind of middle position that I take. There are people who see nothing wrong with Christians listening to any type of music, and there are people who see everything wrong with it, who say that if something is not sacred, if it's not explicitly devoted to God's purposes, then it is something that Christians should abstain from absolutely. But like I said, my position is in the middle. I think we have to be discerning. I believe that it is possible for something to be secular, meaning that it's not sacred, it's not dedicated to God, but still be neutral in its moral content. And so we have a responsibility to pay enough attention in each individual case to see whether it is neutral like that or if it's actually sinful, if it's actually supporting something that's in rebellion against God. Now, one of the places that I build this opinion on is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. And this verse, it's the Apostle Paul speaking to the church in Corinth, and he says, "Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals." Now, this would actually seem to go very much in line with the idea of abstaining from worldly things. And there are a lot of verses in the Bible like this, where they say that what you surround yourself with is going to have an effect on your character, so you need to stay away from worldly things. You need to stay away from evil things in order to keep yourself pure. And that certainly is something that Christians are supposed to do. But the reason why I'm using it here is because of that proverb, that bad company corrupts good morals. That is not original to Paul. It's not something that he quoted from the Old Testament. It's not something he quoted from Jesus. Instead, he quoted it from the secular Greek poet Menander. So Paul is doing exactly what I'm talking about here. He's paying attention to the art, in this case poetry, of his culture, and he's not totally abstaining from it. He's must be enjoying it to some extent in order to be aware of it and to quote it here. And that is something that I think we do have justification to do. And Paul is kind of giving it to us here. And it's not just, well, Paul did it so we can do it. It's that it has a value. That something doesn't have to be referring specifically to God in order to have value. And one of the big values that it has, and again talking about music, is that it's one of the languages of culture. This is the way that people connect and express themselves to one another, is in music, and in the music that they share and that is popular. And Christians need to have some awareness of those things. We need to be able to share at least some of that language, because then otherwise we have no point of contact. There's no bridge to our society, and if we don't have that, then how are we supposed to really share the gospel? We need to have those ways. We need to have those connections so that we can be understandable to people, and so that we can understand their needs and their desires and reach out to them through those. So again, it's difficult work. It requires discernment. There is a difference between neutral music and sinful music, music that's about rebellion against God. We do want to avoid that latter type. We should. And if we feel a conviction on that, or if there's some song that we maybe think might be along that line, then it probably is best to stay away from listening to it and from enjoying it. But just music in general, secular music, I can't cut it out completely. Because it can be enjoyable in and of itself. It's one of the elements of the world and the way that God's created us. And also, again, it connects us to the people around us and hopefully opens doors to discussing their need for Christ just because they can see that we're normal people. That's what we're supposed to be. So, again, that's my position. I know that a lot of people would disagree with me on that in different directions. So if you have a different position, you can go ahead and discuss that here. Bring up your reasons why you have that. Or maybe just have a question on this or something else in the Bible. Feel free to share any of that in the comments below. Thanks very much for checking out this video, and until next time, keep looking up.